Early on in Ultimate's life, I tried to nail down every character's best and worst change as they transitioned over. A little while ago on this channel, I revisited every veteran's best change, so today, the worst changes. Let's see how I did. This video is sponsored by Ren. Climate change is something that you hear about constantly and feel the impact of more and more. I had to finally break down and buy my first air conditioner last summer thanks to an unprecedented heat dome that swept over my home. Air conditioners, of course, further contribute to the climate crisis in a vicious cycle, but the reality is, no matter what your lifestyle is, we all contribute in some way. Ren aims to allow anyone to make a difference in the climate crisis by helping them calculate their personal carbon footprint and then providing advice about how to reduce it. Of course, the reality is that nobody can truly get that footprint down to zero, so you're also able to offset the extra by contributing to a variety of carbon reduction projects, with regular updates provided to let you concretely see the difference you're making in the world. How's this for a sponsorship offer? Be one of the first 100 people to sign up for Ren with my link in the description and pinned comment, and you'll get 10 trees planted in your name. You'll also be supporting amazing projects like supplying clean cooking fuel for Ugandan refugees, preventing thousands of acres of annual deforestation while simultaneously providing vital humanitarian relief. It's one of many great causes you can support through Ren, so be sure to check them out. Okay, important piece of criteria here that I would stick to today if I was making this video for the first time.
As with the best changes counterpart to this video, I'm not going to include universal trends in Ultimate because I don't want to be repeating myself constantly, so no jab cancel removal, terrible shield grabs, you get the drill.
I'd say the average character level went up in Ultimate overall compared to certainly the previous couple of games, but if you allowed every universal nerf, some of them were so significant that would essentially be the entire list. I did make a few exceptions for certain throw combos. Ultimate probably has the worst overall throws in Smash 64, so I didn't just want to be subjecting my audience to, oh, this character also lost down throw up air compared to Smash 4, but there were a few times where it would just feel disingenuous to put anything else. And I think that's the end of the precursor.
Mario's up tilt no longer hits a lot of grounded characters. Combine that with down throw and down tilt no longer linking into it reliably, and he's gone from the most up tilt happy character in the game to someone who really doesn't use it all that much. Pretty sad.
100% on this one. Mario's up tilt went from one of the most notorious moves in Smash 4 to a niche combo extender.
Luigi Cyclone basically doesn't rise when you mash with it, moving Luigi's recovery from surprisingly good in Smash 4 to shockingly easy to gimp. To make things worse, Luigi also can't use it to gimp opponents, which was a consistent strategy even in Smash 4's forgiving recovery environment and probably would have been really nasty in Ultimate. Guess we'll never know.
This is kind of a blast from the past. At this point in time, Luigi was generally considered to be a pretty bad character. Opinions are more mixed on him now, but certainly early on in Ultimate's life, you kept hearing people go, Elegant is being held back. He needs to switch. It's just not worth it. Come on, save yourself the heartache. Luigi Cyclone is very different in Ultimate. Is it even nerfed? Though you can't use it for recovery anywhere near as well, but it's also a frame 1 combo breaker. I think I would probably say it's still overall a worse move. The recovery utility alone, that's a weakness he has in both games, but it's far more prominent in Ultimate because you can't really rise with it anymore. It feels weird to say getting gifted a frame 1 invincible kill move and combo breaker is your worst nerf, but a lot of what Luigi got was actually just pretty solid buffs. I know Dance Smash was essentially just strictly nerfed, but that's not really something he used a whole lot anyways. It's not that big a deal. I guess I'll say Luigi Cyclone, but I'm not happy about it.
DK lost Ding Dong, killing off the top with cargo up throw into up air.
Losing Ding Dong just gutted Donkey Kong.
Link's forward air was changed so that the two hits connect together rather than each hit being independently strong. Using forward air close to the ground is now a pretty bad option since the first hit isn't safe on shield anymore, and while it has some combo potential, it's not worth getting rid of Fair One's ability to kill, especially since Link has faster, safer combo starters, which are just as rewarding.
Losing Link's great Fair One is honestly one of my least favorite changes to any character in the game. It was one of my favorite moves to use, period. It felt so fantastic. Yeah, your boomerang to forward air combos or whatever do get additional damage now, and you do technically get to kill a little bit earlier with forward air since you're getting that additional damage before the launcher. Not even close to proper compensation.
Smash 4 Samus had arguably the best dash attack in the game, being an insanely fast long-range combo starter which worked perfectly with her up air. In Ultimate, it was changed to just be a pretty generic kill move, which makes sense design-wise since I never understood why a high-tech bounty hunter was tossing herself around like a linebacker constantly, but Ugh, that stings.
I do definitely stand by this one. If you were not around during the Smash 4 era, Samus's dash attack was just terrifying. It did feel kind of out of place on her, especially because it didn't have the particle effect yet, which tied it more into the speed booster from her home series. But I do appreciate that it made Samus at least a little bit more physical, because she is like a fairly physical character in the Metroid series. Ultimate, she's far more zonery thanks to how powerful Charge Shot is. So in that sense, a change to her dominant move, which makes her feel maybe a bit less faithful and well-rounded, but honestly, you could say that about a lot of stuff on her kit. She just needs a rework, fundamentally, I think.
Yoshi's up tilt no longer hits grounded opponents reliably, and while forward tilt has replaced it as the combo launcher on the ground, this now means you need to make split-second decisions on which one of these to use rather than just having a big ol' cover everything button.
I hate changes like that as much as anything else just because they don't make any intuitive sense. As far as I'm concerned, this kind of situation on screen right now should essentially never happen. Hitboxes just should not work that way. And yeah, it was a bit of a cop-out answer. Yoshi is mostly buffed.
Kirby's up throw took a hit. Obviously gross for anyone, but especially bad for a character this slow and stubby who needs to be heavily rewarded when he manages to get in.
Kirby's up throw in Ultimate just makes me sad. He deserves it. He's one of the characters that deserves to get a better killing throw, if anything, because if your opponent just wants to run away from Kirby the entire match, what are you supposed to do about that if they're playing even like a moderately fast character? If he manages to get through all that and get his hands on you, he should murder you.
Fox and Falco's side Bs no longer cross up shields, hurting both their approach game and especially their ability to get off the ledge. That get out of jail free card they used to have is just gone.
Falco, I would definitely still stand by that. Fox? Maybe it's definitely on the table. The other candidate for me might be up tilt though. Smash 4 Fox's up tilt hit below ledge, so you could 2-frame with it or pressure hanging opponents, and then it's still kill confirmed. So if you thought Ultimate Fox had good ledge trapping, I think I'm gonna go up tilt though, because that's just so devastating. And while the Smash 4 Fox ability to get off the ledge was obviously fantastic, you tended to see that near the end of Smash 4's life, it started popping up a bit less as players started preparing for it a little bit more. It became more of a proper 50-50 instead of a really true safety move. 50-50 is an exaggeration, but just the concept of your opponent's prepared for it versus they're not. That was definitely more of a thing later on. And even with all of that aside, in Ultimate, you actually still can cross up shields. You just need to aim for a specific part of the shield. That's obviously way worse. It's got way stricter timing, but not technically out of the picture.
Pikachu lost the ability to quick attack cancel, and I gotta put a caveat on this. It's not a big deal with the stage list we're using right now, but in the future, if we get more moving stages or it becomes easier to use mixed hazards, toggle, anything along those lines, it could really suck.
Yeah, absolutely none of that happened. The stage list got more conservative over time, and there was never any kind of hazard toggle patched in or anything along those lines. I would probably say forward smash being nerfed compared to Smash 4. It's still very good in Ultimate, but the fact that it was even better in Smash 4 should scare you. It used to be even safer and stronger, and in both games you see it come out a lot.
Ness's down tilt doesn't routinely trip opponents anymore, so while it's still a fast panic button, your panic attack is way less likely to result in a huge combo.
Yeah, Ness had one of the best up airs in the game in Smash 4, and I would say he no longer has one of the best up airs in the game in Ultimate, but that's because up airs in Ultimate in general, there's a lot of fantastic ones now with the landing leg changes. I'm not even necessarily convinced that his new up air is worse. It's got a longer lasting hitbox and it actually enables some combos for him. You know what, in hindsight, I'm gonna say his new up air is worse. It's still a pretty good move, but generally speaking, these fancy moves rarely hold up to just being able to safely spam an attack on your opponent's shield that will kill them if it hits them, which Ness's old up air could absolutely do. You routinely heard it compared to Mario's up smash just done in the air. So I guess up air, it's not like he uses down tilt a whole lot in either game.
Captain Falcon's dash grab has less range. Now, this is true for a lot of Ultimate characters,
yeah,
but Falcon's a special case. In Smash 4, he had a massive slide on the grab that was almost unique to him, and it made his approach out of a dash very ambiguous and scary. It's just a standard dash grab this time around, which really changes his neutral and not for the better.
Yeah, Smash 4 Falcon had kind of an infamously linear neutral. He was gonna run at you, and he was either going to dash grab you, which was amazing, or he was gonna dash attack you. Now, in Ultimate, it's still relatively linear, but the attacking portion of it did get bolstered. But you know what happened to the portion of his game plan based around countering his opponent, countering those by shielding? It kind of plummeted thanks to that dash grab nerf. Now, I will say the change to forward tilt, where it no longer KOs reliably, that was actually a pretty painful thing to have happen to him. Captain Falcon can actually kind of struggle to kill in this game sometimes, and a killing forward tilt would do so much to patch that up, but it wasn't strictly a nerf. You did get some new tech chase interactions and stuff like that, and I would still say that overall the dash grab is certainly the bigger deal, but that forward tilt, It's in contention. That did suck.
Jigglypuff's back air turns her around like Marth and Lucina. Not a strict nerf, since it might, for example, let you knock your opponent off stage with back air and then use forward air's lingering hitbox to edge guard them, but Puff's back air returned to some of its old glory in Ultimate, and there are a lot of scenarios where this hurts far more than it helps.
And since this video was made, it's returned to even more of its former glory. It actually got buffed. Yeah, I really don't think this was intended to be a nerf to Jigglypuff, but that's definitely what it ended up being. Other than that, she was largely buffed.
Peach's forward air got a bit weaker, but it's still good. Really, really good.
Yeah, just kind of one of those changes I had to pick because there wasn't really a whole lot else to work with, and actually since this video was made, it was nerfed even further. It's still very much a kill move, but compared to its Smash 4 counterpart, it's pretty substantially worse now.
Bowser lost most of his up throw combos and all of their ability to kill, and don't get me wrong, it's a problem, but he was improved in so many other areas that it's turned out to be much less of a problem than most people expected. It also just makes playing him far more fun and playing against him even more fun.
Yeah, pretty much the DK thing again. Bowser in Smash 4 was almost entirely defined by that up throw kill confirm. I would say that Bowser overall survived the transition much better than DK did in hindsight. I think it was still at least a little bit up for debate at the time this video was made, which one of them was going to fare as the better heavyweight. Nowadays, I think it's pretty comfortably Bowser. I think his overall impressions among players has gone down fairly significantly since this video was made. I think I would still call him a high tier character personally, but his weaknesses, as always happens with heavies, definitely have been more exploited over time. But yeah, as a rule of thumb, most of the important parts of Bowser's kit were pretty heavily buffed across the board, except for up throw, and nothing else even comes close. Like, down tilt got nerfed, okay. Up throw was Bowser in Smash 4. There's no contest.
This little dance the second Ice Climber does during grabs both murdered the character and saved Ultimate.
As was inevitably going to happen, the Ice Climber players did figure out all sorts of ways around this by desyncing them. Degenerate stuff has certainly been found, but it's noticeably less degenerate than previous games. Some of that is Smash 4's protection against chain grabbing as well, which Ultimate carried on, but I think this did end up mattering quite a bit. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm obviously no Ice Climbers expert. It could be some other aspect of the grab game that's not a universal change that hurt more, but clearly you're gonna go with something in that camp.
How you doing there, Sheik? Not much from Sheik survived the transition between Smash 4 and Ultimate, but if I've got to narrow things down, forward air having its damage hit really sucks. It hurts both the move's combo potential and her overall damage output because of how central it is to her kit, and she's already been put in an environment where many characters had their damage and safety improved to match strengths that used to be basically unique to her.
I don't half mind that edit there. Forward air's damage going down does hurt considering how much she uses it, but I think you need to more consider the move as a whole, and forward air actually got quite a bit of love in Ultimate overall, compared to its final iteration in Smash 4, where it was already a pretty well-regarded move. It's now a better combo tool with better range. So I think nowadays I would actually say Bouncing Fish, which is obviously still a fantastic move, but compared to Smash 4, it's a bit slower, it doesn't have intangibility on it anymore, it deals less damage, and you don't always get it back in midair. Ultimate Sheik's forward air had been buffed by the time I made this video, so I just got this wrong.
Zelda's down tilt went from a phenomenal combo starter to whatever the hell this is.
I think so. I think at the time I didn't realize just how good this still was as a combo tool at lower percents, but at higher percents it was hit pretty significantly. There is her jab as well. Zelda had a strange jab in the previous games. In Smash 4 it was frame 11, the slowest jab in the game literally, but it was also one of the safest and had some combo potential. The Ultimate variant is frame 4, which is obviously a lot better, but it's still not incredible by jab standards, and down tilt is only 1 frame slower. I think a little bit of close quarters help is probably appreciated though. Okay, I'm still gonna say down tilt.
Dr. Mario got the same up tilt nerf as Mario, which admittedly isn't as big a deal since it was nowhere near as crazy in Smash 4.
No, it wasn't. It never had that kind of reputation. It was nowhere near as good a combo tool. This is one I'm admittedly not incredibly confident in. He did have some changes to his recovery game, I know, but I think one thing that I did see Dr. Mario mains using was B reversed up B out of shield. You could get it so that it would actually hit on both sides of you with a sweet spot, and that sweet spot is surprisingly large. So you were just kind of immune to cross-ups on shield in a way that you aren't in Ultimate. I'll go with that just because it's at least something. Dr. Mario is generally a character who once again was more buffed than nerfed.
Time to find something bad to say about Pichu, eh? I mean, I guess neutral air got worse and it was Pichu's best move back in Melee, but like, it's still really good and now all Pichu's moves are good, so...
What are you gonna do here? Pichu had one of the most infamous improvements between games in the series.
Young Link overall got a lot of love coming over to Ultimate. The worst thing I can really come up with is his boomerang not getting those crazy angles anymore, and I mean, sure, he'll take it.
I think so. It's not like young Link's boomerang is bad, obviously. In fact, all 3 of his projectiles are pretty busted, but you could do some fun stuff with those old angles. I remember getting some comments saying it should have gone to Danair because compared to melee, it can't spike or meteor smash anymore, but I don't think that's a problem. In fact, I think it's a pretty big improvement because he has kill confirms into Danair, and they're way more reliable since you don't need to worry about getting an accidental spike.
Can't talk about love coming into Ultimate without bringing up Ganondorf, but as awesome as he is, why'd they need to do that to Flame Choke? Ganon's side can be mashed out of now, although it's not easy enough to be incredibly important, but what is important is Ganon now dies first, so you can't use it to win the game in a last stock situation.
The Ganon side change, yeah, that really sucks. You don't really see it that often in competitive play, but it was a factor, and some of it was probably done just to make cheesing the CPU harder in single player modes, but not happy about it. What I think was way more detrimental to Ganondorf's overall competitive viability, though, was actually up air. Up air was actually one of Ganondorf's best moves in Smash 4. In Ultimate, it's 2 frames slower, and it doesn't hit below him anymore, what was referred to as the tipman. Yeah, up air clearly a significantly worse move that has a bigger impact on him.
What the hell did they do to up throw?
Lucina, yeah, I'll still say the up throw kill. She did have her forward smash made significantly weaker compared to Smash 4, or even earlier in Ultimate, which does hurt, but Lucina is overall a much more consistent character. Now, Marth, he's actually the one that needs the up throw kill more. He's just inherently way less consistent than Lucina is, and I think if you were going to differentiate these characters more, Marth should keep a killing up throw and Lucina should not have one. But while some of the reason Marth is less consistent is just because the game is way faster compared to Smash 4, so it does make his tippers harder to land, the hitboxes themselves were also nerfed. So I don't think I'm going to say up throw on this. I think I'm going to say either neutral air or forward air. In fact, I'm going to say forward air for Marth because not only was the tipper made harder to land on that move, but its knockback was also nerfed, so it's a worse kill move.
If I could bring up Mewtwo losing air dodge spam, I absolutely would, but like I said, universal mechanics don't count. So we'll go with down tilt being nerfed, and yeah, it's still a really good move, but Mewtwo was the down tilt character in Smash 4, and seeing it get leggier, lose range and disjoint, and have some of that remaining range no longer lead into combos is pretty rough.
That was a pretty bad change, but I'm going to go with a much broader one here and say the additional hurtbox length added to Mewtwo's tail. There was still some debate in the air at the time about how much that actually mattered. Some people said, yeah, no, it ruins the character. Some people said you're exaggerating. I think in retrospect, I can look back and pretty comfortably say, yeah, that mattered a lot.
Roy's Blazer lost most of its kill power, giving him a lot of trouble killing. Roy's bullshit. What does everything kill?
Yeah, killing Blazer would be nice. Doesn't need it. I'm gonna soapbox a little bit here too. I called Roy a top tier way before that was popular opinion. I may not have gotten everyone right. I didn't call Ganondorf. I didn't call the pits, but god damn it, I got Roy.
A lot of Mr. Game & Watch's moves were overhauled, and while you can't really call many of them explicit nerfs, I think up air got hit the worst. Sure, the range is pretty amazing, but being above the little guy went from really scary to just kind of annoying, and his kill confirms into up air just don't matter anymore.
Okay, now, to be fair, Mr. Game & Watch did have a kill confirm with his old up air, the toot toot. Losing that was a big deal. While this new up air may kill essentially never though, it also is undeniably a pretty phenomenal juggling tool and combo extender. I think I would go with back air. It's still not a bad back air by any means, but it's both a worse combo tool and a worse kill move. A lot of the time you're doing trade-offs for one or the other.
Meta Knight's dash attack had its combo game weakened, and considering dash attack was this whole thing in Smash 4, this definitely hurts.
Yep, no more dash attack the character anymore. You can still get some combos out of dash attack, but you gotta generally space it a lot more carefully with the sour spot, and shuttle loop confirms out of it. Like, essentially just not a thing anymore.
So I know I'm gonna sound biased here since Dark Pit's my main, but I struggled to come up with something bad for the pits. They really have basically just been upgraded across the board, and all their
Still true.
whatever moves seem to combo or kill now. I guess I'll go with Guardian Orbitars. They're less protective since they break faster and shrink while they're held out, but even then, they're so much quicker to use that I don't even really know if you can call the move nerfed, but it's the best I got.
No, Guardian Orbitars are definitely not nerfed. I've been racking my brain, I've been looking through notes. This is what I've come up with. Pit, forward tilt goes slightly less far. Not a big deal by any means, but it's all I can go with for him. Dark Pit, I can't even do that because his forward tilt is the same as Pit's, but it didn't used to be. It used to not be a kill move, unlike Pit's, which was. So with him, I've got to say the power of flight, it takes slightly longer to start coming down. So if you go past the ledge with it, you're a bit less safe. Why would you be going past the ledge with it? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, this is another character where losing throw combos is big enough to mention. Going for grabs was a massive part of Zero Suit Samus's game plan in Smash 4, and the risk from her tether grab was the only thing keeping her in check. She gets to keep the risky grab, but none of the reward from it.
Yeah, you know, another part of the reason why her reward got so much worse though is because up air was nerfed so that the ladder combos are harder to pull off, so I would actually go with up air.
Wario's bite gained a cooldown between uses, significantly messing with his recovery since spamming it was the only thing that kept his disadvantage state reasonable in Smash 4.
This does matter certainly. I'm gonna say in practice you don't necessarily see that many situations where Wario wishes he could bike but doesn't have access to it though. I'm gonna say the actual biggest change here is that forward throw doesn't kill anymore. I think the original reason I didn't say this was because it got replaced by Chomp. Chomp is now his killing forward throw, but in retrospect I don't actually think that's a valid consideration.
Snake lost his trip mine down smash, and not that his new one is awful, but it is a blow to the trap game he had in Brawl.
I'd go further than that. I'd say Snake's new down smash actually works pretty well with his kit in a lot of circumstances, but overall, yeah, it's pretty hard to argue that his old trip mine was just insane. Now, several of his moves, but his up tilt in particular compared to Brawl is substantially worse, and yet even after being really heavily nerfed, it's still one of the absolute best up tilts in the game, whereas replacing the down smash trip mine took away a good chunk of his stage control.
Bring back Ike's forward air. Nerf neutral air, nerf dash attack, I don't care, compensate wherever you want. I'm happy he's finally a viable character in Ultimate, but forward air was my single favorite Smash move for over a decade. It felt like crashing a truck into your opponent. This... what the hell is this? Give me back my meat cleaver.
And then they did go ahead and kind of do that. They did nerf neutral air. Dash attack actually got buffed, and forward air got buffed as well, but it got buffed in a way that was just, it does a little bit more damage, but it's not really gonna kill a lot earlier. So yeah, I'm still gonna say forward air because for the previous couple of games, that was one of Ike's absolute best moves. Nowadays, it's a pretty decent forward air, I guess.
Squirtle lost shell shifting, a really cool and important movement technique in Brawl. Ivysaur dies much earlier because of its weight nerf while still being combo food because of a faster fall speed. And Charizard's Flare Blitz no longer snaps to the ledge, which severely hurts his recovery options.
The first two, yeah, I'm gonna stick with. Charizard's Flare Blitz actually got patched after this video. It does snap to the ledge a lot earlier now. So for Charizard, I actually think I'm gonna go with forward air. It's got a worse sweet spot now, and it also doesn't auto-cancel out of a short hop anymore, which is a pretty huge blow. This was probably just an oversight. Charizard falls just very slightly faster than he used to, which means it's literally one frame off from continuing to auto-cancel. I could go with up tilt as well, as I found out in a different video. That one actually doesn't have a disjoint anymore, which makes it functionally close to useless, but up smash still exists, and the vast majority of the time you're going to use that anyways.
Lucas definitely qualifies for a throw combo mention. He may not have looked as much like a grappler as these guys, but no, he definitely was, just disguised behind some fireball spam. He gets to keep his 3 kill throws. Yeah, they gave him 3 kill throws, don't ask me why. So he still doesn't have a bad grab game, but down throw used to combo from 0 all the way to death by up air, and that whole defining aspect of his gameplay just vanished overnight.
Yeah, 100%. Nothing else even comes close on this one.
Diddy's down tilt no longer connects reliably into up smash, which was one of the absolute best kill confirms in Smash 4 and one of the 2 major ways he took stocks, alongside Banana, which was also nerfed.
I don't think this turned out to be nearly as big a deal as a lot of people were saying at the time. It's definitely worse than Smash 4 down tilt, but it actually ended up still being pretty usable. The only two that really come to mind here are down tilt and also his forward air, which has much smaller hitboxes. In a lot of ways, Banana Peel was nerfed as well, but it also doesn't disappear as quickly anymore, so it actually gets a lot more combo potential, and you see players like Tweak make good use of that. Yeah, I'm still gonna say down tilt because forward air, it was actually patched to have some of its hitboxes be bigger later on in the game's life, and some of its issues also stemmed from the fact that everyone jumps way faster in Ultimate, which is not a direct change to the move.
Sonic lost canceling spin dash into shield, and I'm picking this as the worst change from a competitive power level perspective. In terms of a fun perspective,
I do not miss the days of shield cancel while spin dash. It didn't turn out to be nearly as impactful as people originally thought because Sonic mains kind of figured out, okay, well I can jump out of it and cancel that with a down air, so it's kind of a similar concept, but it's certainly much more committal. You don't have as many stage positioning options to work with to do that setup. And this was an era where personally I was a little bit skeptical, but a lot of people were kind of down on Sonic. As time's gone on, he's really only gone up in people's minds.
Joining the pitch, DDD's changes were almost entirely upgrades or side grades, so if we gotta complain about something, let's go with the new Gordo knockback angle. Ultimate changed them so that they always launch in the same direction DDD was facing when he threw it, which on the one hand makes them a way more consistent edgeguard tool, but on the other hand means awesome stuff like this doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah, but that's a trade-off, and I don't really love going with trade-offs when I can avoid it nowadays. I'm gonna say up air, actually. Up air is a worse kill move compared to Smash 4, and considering DDD gets a lot more confirm options into it, that's actually a pretty significant blow.
Olimar got weaker overall in Ultimate while becoming far less irritating to fight. Both of those are filthy lies. Pikmin have less health, and that's all I can go with. This character gives me migraines. combos.
Definitely the Pikmin is nowhere near in the same ballpark as like reducing Luma's health with Rosalina. You're not really depriving Olimar of a resource. You can easily and non-committally pluck more Pikmin, but it does allow you to get the Pikmin off you much quicker and more easily if they're latched onto you, which is a pretty big deal.
And for the last time on this list, we mourn the loss of a combo throw. When Rob's new down throw berry was shown off in pre-release footage, there was a lot of speculation about it being broken, but as it turns out, no.
I don't think that's what Rob players would do nowadays. They would go for up tilt into up air instead if they thought their opponent was going to mash out. And if they didn't think their opponent was going to mash out, then you would go for up smash instead. So in some ways, it still is kind of a 50-50, which Beat Boop, the previous down throw into up air kill confirm, often turned into, especially if Rob had rage. In this case, it's mash or don't mash versus air dodge or don't air dodge. I'm still going to say the kill confirm stuff is overall a little bit worse compared to Smash 4 though, where a lot of the time it was just a true guaranteed kill. And on top of that, it also reduces a lot of that mid-range area. Rob can still get confirms at very early percents with up throw like he could in Smash 4, but after that you start getting into this awkward period where in Smash 4, when you might go for down throw into up air combos, in Ultimate a lot of the time you just see them throw people off stage instead or something like that.
Close call with Toon Link. While I like the principle behind giving him a new forward smash to separate him from young Link, it ended up being a sharp downgrade, but I think the more common issue would be with his bombs. They can't push through other projectiles anymore, which has a noticeable impact on his long-range combat in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, that does matter, but considering how often Toon Link is throwing like jumping bombs, I think in hindsight the forward smash thing actually mattered more. The new one does have some advantages over the old one, but overall it does way less damage and it doesn't kill as early. Weird that that's the one thing that decided to fully replace in Toon Link's kit, and what they replaced it with was bad.
Wolf's back air was nerfed, and this thing being his worst change says a lot about Wolf in Ultimate. It's still a great move, but his Brawl version was, I mean, one of the best back airs ever. Look at this thing.
The other candidate in my mind, which I was considering at the time too, is forward smash. That one is a pretty big trade-off. Wolf's forward smash in Ultimate is one of the safer forward smashes in the game, but it's got considerably less range and considerably less speed than in Brawl. And his back air in Ultimate has a fantastic reputation. Its sweet spot is one of the strongest back airs in the game. I still think I've got to go back air though. Don't get me wrong, I do think that his Brawl forward smash was significantly better, and again, he does have a great back air in Ultimate, but his Brawl back air was like a character-defining move. I haven't meticulously combed through every single back air to make this statement, but I think it would be a candidate for the absolute best back air in the series. It should certainly be in the discussion.
Oh God, Crom, no, what are you doing? Move! You know what? Take your time.
Yeah, that really sucks. And Aura Sphere does probably work less well in Ultimate overall compared to Smash 4, but it's not a strictly nerfed move. It does have some actually pretty nice benefits, like being able to jump cancel it even if you're in the air, which leads to better movement options and different kill confirms. And kill confirms with Lucario are still definitely a big part of the character's game plan. I think the much more impactful change has turned out to be the fact that Lucario is made much lighter in Ultimate, and considering his whole thing is surviving to high percent so that he can make use of Aura, that turned out to be really bad.
Smash 4 Villager had one of the best jabs in the game. It was incredibly safe and even had a kill confirm into his axe. Ultimate replaced it with a standard jab finisher, which was requested by approximately, hang on, 0 people. 0 people wanted this.
Well, maybe a little more accurate to say 0 Villager players wanted this, although I'm always on board with interesting jabs. Villager's old jab was pretty interesting and distinct. It did fall a little bit into that why does this zoner character have one of the best close quarter tools in the game thing that I've criticized before and that Ultimate has leaned further into, if anything, with a lot of its other zoners. But those other ones are here anyways, and I do miss having more jabs with a lot of utility behind them, so personally, I would prefer this still be in the game.
Mega Man's another character who made the jump to Ultimate very well. The worst I can really say is that up air doesn't auto-cancel out of a jump anymore, which does hurt his juggling a bit, but I mean, oh well.
Maybe that does matter, but you actually do see up air used just fine for juggling. I think in practice, back air having its kill power brought down a bit is the more consistently occurring issue. It wasn't a significant nerf, and it's still a pretty strong back air, but you see Mega Man's throw it out raw or confirm into it all the time, so I think it does come up a lot more often.
Super Hoop lost some height, which is definitely a blow for an off-stage based character.
Yeah, similar story, still not a bad recovery move.
I think we're probably gonna have to go with the change to Luma. Everything seems to send it flying now. Hey, I sympathize with you Rosa mains out there. I'm hurting too. I played Corrin in Smash 4, and killing Luma for free used to make me feel special, you know? Now it's just something anyone off the street can walk in and do.
This is a hard one to evaluate because you kind of need to consider all the changes to Luma if you're going to go with it. It's very mixed. Luma also has less health, but it also respawns faster and it actually gets launched a little less far compared to Smash 4. I know a lot of Rosalina mains don't like her new neutral air anywhere as near as well as the old one, but that has some trade-offs too. I actually think I would say jab for this one because Luma jab in particular got way worse and pretty much just objectively worse, whereas a lot of these other things are more trade-offs. The lack of kill power on Luma jab in particular is a pretty big deal.
Little Max down tilt was one of the best grounded combo moves in his debut Smash, and moving him into Ultimate where tilts can be done out of a dash should have been terrifying, except they took away basically all its follow-ups. Yeah, have fun with that.
That was too harsh. No, it didn't lose basically all of its follow-ups, but at very high percents, yeah, it's not going to connect anymore. I would still go with it though. I did have some people bring up Jolt Haymaker because in Ultimate you only get one Jolt Haymaker per airtime, even if you're hit after using it. But the move overall is still much better, I'd say, because you can act out of it. It doesn't put you into free fall.
Greninja's downtown has less knockback. Garbage character. F you, Greninja.
Oh, I forgot about that. So this was my real answer. Greninja's down air took some nerfs. More specifically, hitting it is laggier, so it's not as good a combo tool and it's less safe if you hit someone's shield with it.
Oh, damn. Helicopter kick doesn't have crazy knockback anymore? You know what? We can live with that. Most Mii brawlers were switching to Piston Punch near the end of Smash 4's lifespan anyways.
So this aged interestingly for pretty much all of it. First off, this here.
Oh. Damn, helicopter kick doesn't have crazy knockback anymore?
This is using the weaker angle. Depending on how you angle the kick, you will actually give your opponent different knockback. It is still true that it is overall a worse kill move compared to Smash 4. For videos, I generally try to show, more extreme, exaggerated examples to improve clarity. In this particular case, it actually seemed to decrease clarity, though a lot of people thought I just didn't realize it had multiple knockback options. I did know that, but in retrospect, I probably should have gone with the heavier hitting one to begin with. Piston Punch. Now, this getting replaced with Thrust Uppercut for the record still qualifies, but it's just funny because Thrust Uppercut actually has started to become more and more the set that Mii Brawler players gravitate towards because as it turns out, it can still kill confirm even with those nerfs. It's still nothing compared to Piston Punch though, which was just silly.
Mii Sword Fighter's down air definitely took a hit. Totally worth the trade-off though, considering he turned into a better zoner than Mii Gunner's forward air lost a lot of its range and now has to settle for being a part of her neutral rather than being her neutral.
Okay, I actually do like that seamless transition, but it makes it slightly less smooth to talk about in retrospect. Mii Sword Fighter down air is a little bit worse, but you fundamentally still use it pretty much the same. I'm gonna go with back air instead. Compared to Smash 4, back air is slower and way smaller, and considering in Smash 4 that was one of the character's relatively few moves that you could actually call pretty good, that's a significant nerf. As for Gunner, yeah, it's 100% forward air. Similar story where the new forward air isn't necessarily bad, but Smash 4 forward air was the defining move of the character.
While Palutena's back air is still an incredible aerial overall, it did lose some of the shield and vulnerability that made it truly busted.
Dash attack got the same invincibility nerf, and I'm gonna say it's actually a bigger deal for dash attack. The thing about dash attack is that overall the move was still significantly buffed because its ending leg was brought way down. Back air did get some other non-universal buffs as well. It did lose its sour spot, but I'm still gonna say that dash attack got better, which means I guess I'm still going with back air.
Pack jump doesn't come out frame 1 anymore, which takes away Pac-Man's free escape from shield, especially painful with how weak out of shield options are already.
Smash 4 Pac-Man may have been a bad character, but frame 1 trampoline, that was not a bad option.
Arc Thunder doesn't stun your opponent anywhere near as long, which ruins most of its use as a combo tool. Yeah, the job did get moved to Arc Fire, but meh, old one was better.
You can argue about which one of those was better at the role, new Arc Fire, old Arc Thunder, but inarguably, Arc Thunder is a significantly worse move now. I was a little bit inconsistent with how I did that before, whether I was considering things compensating to count or not.
Shulk's back air lost its early front hitbox, taking away all those ambiguous approach options they used to have and making the move overall just much worse.
Yep, and that's a change I don't like. I'm not saying Shulk necessarily needed it, but it makes the move just a bit less interesting.
Mecha Koopa's just kind of flop if they hit shields, removing a lot of Bowser Jr.'s pressure.
Yeah, and they got some pretty significant buffs too. You can actually get some new combos out of them, but the fact that they provide just so much less shield pressure than they used to is a pretty big deal. They're still an important tool for Bowser Jr., but that hurt. That really hurt.
For some reason, Duck Hunt can't just destroy its clay pigeon and throw a new one right away unless it actually hits someone, which locks you out of not only an important combo starter, but also your even more important can. Weird change.
At first, this sounds like it might be just a weird, obscure, and niche situation, but he actually often has the can and the clay out at the same time. You do see this pop up.
Shoryuken is still a good attack. Just good. Where in Smash 4, it made him a top tier almost by itself.
No hint of a lie there, Smash 4 Ryu's Shoryuken is one of the best moves in the series history. Frame 1 invincible and just unbelievably strong.
Ooh, Cloud, what to choose. Okay, so the thing that'll jump out to everyone immediately will be Limit. The fact that you're forced to burn it in 15 seconds or lose it enough to start all over definitely sucks and definitely impacts a match. What I think impacts it even more, though, is up air. Watch top-level Smash 4 Cloud play, and this is the move you'll see. Ultimate has it come out later, deal less damage, cover less ground, ruins the fast fall short hop auto-cancel, and stops grounded opponents from getting scooped up constantly. For what it's worth, I know not everyone's going to agree here, and I did go back and forth on this several times, but Limit Break created decisive moments in Cloud's gameplay where up air was his gameplay.
In retrospect, no. I think it was Limit. The thing is, yes, Smash 4 Cloud's up air was one of the best up airs in the series history, and in Ultimate, it's a pretty decent up air, but it's still pretty good at its more intuitive job of being a juggling tool, and some of his other stuff like the landing up airs you can more replace with other neutral options. Limit was just gutted. Like, it's a shell of its former self. Limit Cross Slash going from a ridiculous kill move to a pretty solid kill move is definitely a big nerf, but I think the biggest change is 100% just the timer on it.
Dragon Lunge was a huge part of what made Corrin good in Smash 4, and while it was never going to be nearly as vital a tool in Ultimate, the fact that you can do any attack out of a run means it's not a special privilege anymore. This thing still got gutted. Way less travel distance, way more laggy, way less safe, and I think it's honestly kind of a shame. Yeah, it was a bit over-centralizing in Smash 4, but would have been much less so here and is one of the coolest, most unique attacks ever put in Smash.
You could make the argument that Corrin is actually in a healthier place in Ultimate after the buffs, which mostly happened after this video was made, because it's a way more well-rounded toolkit now, whereas in Smash 4, she did lean too much on pin. I still kind of preferred the Smash 4 playstyle though, because you made more use of your special moves, the tools that other Fire Emblem characters didn't have. Dragon Fang Shot was way better, Pin was way better. Nowadays it's a bit more of a spam aerials kind of playstyle, which she did do in Smash 4, but is definitely more prominent in Ultimate and homogenizes her a bit. I get what the team was going with for her. Before the buffs, she was massively over-nerfed, it was ridiculous. After the buffs, you can debate it, but I think what's not really that debatable is yes, Pin nerf was absolutely the hardest nerf she took.
Okay, I did the joke Bayonetta ending thing last time. Look at this fucking up air.
I remember at the time this edit just took forever. I would be able to do it pretty quickly nowadays, but I was way newer to editing back then, obviously, and I remember the timeline getting really messy. In terms of nerfs, yes, I'm gonna say up air. Witch Time is absolutely 100% on the table. That move got substantially worse, and it was one of her defining moves and one of the best moves in Smash history, but it still kind of fundamentally functions the same, even if it's a lot less effective. You know, that concept of Bayonetta is coming down, can I attack her or not? Whereas up air not being a kill move anymore just completely fundamentally changes so much about the character. Ladder combos off the top into up air was a staple of her toolkit in Smash 4, but in Ultimate, that's more or less just not a thing. You do see an occasional kill off the top, but generally speaking, she usually has to go for side blast zone kills if she wants to do those, which are obviously way more stage position dependent, or she has to fish for stray hits or more standard kill confirms. And there you go, every Smash veteran's worst change. A couple big misses in there, and a couple that were changed pretty substantially from patches, but overall, I think a lot of these actually held up surprisingly well over time. Alright, and that'll do it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and let me know what you thought. Likes and comments are a huge factor YouTube uses to decide whether a video should be passed around to more people, so if you think this one deserves it, much appreciated. You can see the best changes equivalent above, a video from my main channel MockRock below, and patrons, YouTube members, and Twitch subs get perks like early videos, Discord access, and the ability to vote in content polls. Later, people.